I think the core values of the school have matched our own very well, which I think is one of the reasons we really love the experience and the environment that he's in. And that's really around, focused on not just the student and on the academic, but also on the community and the world.
I'm Glenn Herbert, and I'm an editor with Our Kids. We're speaking with insiders from Canada's leading private schools to gain insights into their programs, culture, traditions, and leadership. This includes insights from parents, alumni, and administrators. This is the Our Kids Insider Perspective.
I think finding the right school was really important for us. So we toured a couple schools actually in the area, probably 3 or 4, to try to find one that was not just the best school in terms of ranking or academics, but something that we thought would be a really good fit for him and for us as a family, something where we could really identify with the school values, with the kind of feel of the school, so that our son could have a good experience there. We looked at a lot of different factors like cost, obviously, and things in addition to that, but really that good fit and something that not really just focused on academic, but on like a good, well-rounded culture of the school as well.
Yeah, I think, the only thing I'd add is this notion of, even though it's a business, to make it, this notion of connection and community. I remember going to a school in particular, leaving, and thinking that I just didn't get a good vibe between administration and teachers. And, eventually that rolls down to the experience that students receive. Yeah, I think, our son had come from a daycare environment on purpose, coming into JK. And I think the experience was pretty seamless. I think within a couple of days, it felt normal. And I think a lot of that was driven by the small class sizes and the ability to engage with the teacher in those first few days and with a smaller environment. I would say within the first 10 days, it felt extremely normal, and, we were right on track.
I think it was really great to see him already making friends and just comfortable going and no issues at all. Never had a struggle in the morning with, getting him up and out the door ready for school, because he was so happy to go and he really enjoyed it. And one of the things about the small environment too is it wasn't just the class itself, it was the whole school. We'd be walking up to the school, and even when he was in JK, teachers in grade 3 and 4 would stop and say hello to him by name, because with such a nice small environment, they all kind of get to know each other really quickly, which was really nice and made him feel more comfortable, and then certainly made us feel more comfortable too.
I would say that being able to see the teachers. So in grade 1, prior to the move to the college, that core group of teachers was together, and he saw, the grade 7 math teacher in that day, and to have, be able to make that connection that now he's in grade 7 with that math teacher, just giving him that opportunity to really see the full picture and feel part of that community start to finish.
Another thing that I think is really special for him, that he's been able to experience that a lot of his friends haven't, is that same core group of kids from year to year, because it is a smaller school. He's been in the same class with his good friends that he's become good friends with year after year, because it's not 6 classes of 30 kids that get moved around all the time. He's been able to form really close connections with his friends, and that's been so great to see. One of the things that I appreciate the most for sure is that ability, because it's a small environment and a small group of kids in the class, to really customize that learning experience for each child. I can see it in the way his teachers talk to us at our regular monthly check-ins, at parent-teacher interviews, where they know exactly what his strengths are. They know exactly the areas of development that are needed and have a plan in place to be able to work on that together. And I know that's unique for each child. And that for us is so important. And the second thing too, that for me that I really appreciate with the school is that they know us so well as a family. They know us, they know our interests, they know what's important to us, because we've gotten to know them and they've gotten to know us over the years. So I know when I call and say, hi, it's so-and-so, or I'm, so-and-so's mom, they know right away. They know what I'm calling about. They know the challenges we're dealing with. They know the situation, our family situation, and that's really important.
Yes, there was some turnover in staff. And I think not all of that is bad. I don't want, so that, I think the ability in a private school to make the right choices that are student focused, I think is one that you don't get in the public school sector, right? Whether you have a teacher that's struggling, for whatever reason, that isn't maybe maybe they're not struggling, maybe it's just not a right fit with the school philosophy, that ability to adjust quickly. I think in any environment, teachers through the years, you're going to have, some that are better than others from a child point of view, but that ability to pivot and be able to, do the right thing for the school in a quick manner was something that kind of surprised me on the positive side.
I think the core values of the school have matched our own very well, which I think is one of the reasons we really love the experience and the environment that he's in. And that's really around, focused on not just the student and on the academic, but also on the community and the world as a whole. That, it's not just about getting a good grade in a particular subject, but it's understanding in science class the impact of climate change in the world and how that affects your community, and really making those connections to the community and to what's on the news that week, and really having that broader community feel and international feel in terms of really being connected to the world.
For me, it's actually a little different. I think the thing that I appreciate the most is the candor and open dialogue. You can fall into this trap because it's a private school that you kind of are being told what others might think you want to hear. And I haven't found that. It's always been my litmus test at our parent-teacher interviews, like give me the straight goods. How's he doing in this area? And I always find that, the feedback's pretty honest and it's been pretty consistent. And so I think, that's been good.
No, that's a good question for sure. I think, it's interesting when you have kids, you tend to become friends with your kids' friends' parents, because they're the people you spend so much time with, whether it be through school activities, through sports, through different things. And I find that's hard to do when they have new friends in school every year, or new situation, or moving schools because of boundary changes and stuff like that. But it has been a really good group of parents, and we have actually made some fantastic friends over the years. And I find it really does go back to those values. I think people have chosen this school and this type of environment because they really are invested in the importance of that good academic education, of that community feel, of the values that are also important to us. So you do gravitate to those people and tend to become friends with people like that. And we have made some good friends over the years, and our son has too, which is great.
Yeah, I think, if I could, and this is now going back 9 years, right? But if I think back to the days of evaluating schools, the thing that struck me in those early days was, that notion of diversity, not only in people, but in thought and in culture. And to me, I think that was a really important piece in terms of making that decision, right? So we knew, or in the early days, that we were going to go down the private school option. And so in that evaluation of that, that notion of diversity and inclusion, I think, played a big role,
Definitely.
at least for me, in kind of moving towards Lynn-Rose.
Oh, I think there's a few things for sure. I think there are things at the school that have really brought out the best of him, and it's so nice to see that. And one has been, I think, because of the activities they do outside of the school. He's been able to participate in some fantastic field trips and opportunities to give back to the community. One of the things that he's really proud of, that makes us really proud, is his involvement in the science fair and in certain science projects. And I think if I'd have thought about, like, gee, what's my son really good at, that wouldn't have been top of my list, but he had some fantastic opportunities and some great teachers over the years that have brought that out in him.
Yeah, one sticks out from this year for me. He came home. No, he didn't even come home and tell us. We heard from the teacher that he won third prize in a poetry contest. And we didn't even know he entered. And our son is, I would have never pegged him as a writer. And so, it's those things where they step out of their bounds because someone has said, hey, you should really try this. And it wasn't apparent. And so they actually took the advice, right? And, no, I think that, to me, because it was just so surprising, that was it, right?
I think it's always great to have your child come home and tell you about their accomplishments, and especially as they get close to those teen years. And for a boy to come home and, a lot of days, it's, what'd you do today? Nothing. But comes home beaming from ear to ear, so proud to tell us about something, a game they did, or an activity they did, or something he participated in, or something he tried that was outside of his comfort zone. It's so great to see. I think in general, we've had a really fantastic experience with both the teachers and the administration. And I think where that really resonated for us was during the COVID isolation periods, where the school was able to, and the administration and teachers were able to pivot so quickly to be able to provide online options that worked for your family situation, that worked for different options. And they were able to do it rather quickly. They paused, put a plan in place, taught the teachers how to use the technology that they were offering, and then opened it up for the students. And that was such a positive experience for us, because we absolutely heard horror stories from other school systems where it just wasn't that seamless. And for two working parents, where we didn't necessarily have time to sit next to him and deal with the tech issues, or do a lot of asynchronous stuff, we really relied on the teachers keeping that going during the day, and they were able to do that so well, and that just made all of our lives easier during a very difficult time, for sure.
And I'd say, with the administration, back to kind of an earlier point, like when things didn't go perfectly with a teacher, and it wasn't one student, generally, I think it says a lot about their ability to pivot and make decisions that are right for the school in a quick manner. And I think, that does not exist and cannot exist just the way public schools are structured, right? But so I think, to me, although the experience may not have been great, the recovery was very strong. I can tell you, I mean, so we did this last year. Was it last year? I think that's their first year here. I would say, so a good friend of ours now has two children at Lynn-Rose. And the message I gave him was, class size, uniqueness to strengths and development opportunities for each of your children, because his two kids are very different. And this notion of community feel, and we haven't been able to experience the community feel yet. But I think he would strongly agree on the first two with me so far.
I think even with the community feel, though, I think obviously through COVID, we've lost a bit of that because there's just things you can't do. I haven't personally been able to step foot in the classroom this year or last year. And normally, that's something I love to do, attending assemblies, going to their concerts and science fairs and all that stuff. But that's definitely one of the things that previous to that, and I'm really looking forward to getting back to it, is that ability to participate, to ability to be there with your school community, celebrating things with your child, and seeing concerts and participating in that community, getting to know other parents. And I think in a private school where it's a smaller setting and they really make above and beyond efforts to make that community feel important to the children and important to the parents, that's absolutely something that we shared with our friends and hopefully was part of their decision to join the school.
Trust your instinct. You'll know. Whatever your criteria is, trust your instinct. That I think would be my overarching message to anybody.
Yeah, for sure. It has to feel comfortable. It's like walking into a home when you're looking to buy a house. And when you walk into the right home, you feel comfortable and you feel at home. And school should be like that for a child. They spend more waking hours there than in their own home. So they should really feel at home. And I think for sure the decision can't be made in isolation. Bring your child with you, tour the school, get as many opportunities as you can to get them to participate, like sit in the classroom, meet a teacher, do different things. Because if your child feels comfortable and happy in that experience and feels that instinct of, wow, this feels good, then that I think is definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah. And don't sell yourself short, like leave yourself lots of time to evaluate, right? Because you do want to find that right fit.
For more information about this school, you can visit their profile at ourkids.net.